So I pulled a few items, including this 4x4 scrapbook that I just ordered from scrapbook.com. It's designed by Paige Evans for We Are Memory Keepers. It comes with just a few page protectors, but this is what it looks like. And then I'm planning to use the Rome kit from Ali Edwards. I purchased this in the Stories Revisited sale recently, that they recently had. So I have it in digital form, but I really wanted it in physical format too. So this is what that looks like. It released, I believe, in 2020, so it's a bit of an older one, but still fun and I think really great for this particular project. I also got the story stamp. And then the only other thing that I'm going to add to this is a printable. This is from Feed Your Craft / In a Creative Bubble. This was also from, I think 2020. It may have even been from 2019. But I was looking at those printables and decided that I thought this would be good as kind of a title page. So I have all my photos printed, and the majority of them are printed 4x4 with a big border, a big white border. I've added some of the digital stamps to a few of the photos, not all of them, but just a few that I thought would work. And then this was a digital version of the chipboard, but I'm planning to add the specific chipboard on here. So I left it there as a placeholder. And then this is a smaller photo that I'll work in somehow. And then these are the other few that had some text on it. I also have the Rome acrylic piece. I don't know if I'll use it or not, but this is what I'm starting out with. So let's get going. So the first thing that I did was put all of the photos into the rough order that I wanted them to be in my album. Since this was a really small trip, a really short trip, I should say, with a small number of photos, so I ended up just putting them together in chronological order. I really couldn't kind of batch them into themes or anything like that. And so this worked, I think, really well. And here I am just going into the embellishing part of the album. What I end up doing when I'm putting together these mini pages is flipping through a lot and working on one page and then moving to another page. And if I run into any kind of a design hurdle where I have to maybe think a little bit, I'll just leave it and come back to it. You'll see me do that quite a bit. The kit that I used obviously featured lots of 4x6 cards, and so I ended up needing to cut those down into 4x4s. I like that. I think it added a little bit more interest to some of those cards, especially this one. I didn't mind that, that the white journaling lines are now all the way up against the border. You'll see me just kind of flipping through all of the various embellishments that came as part of this kit just to see what I thought would work with each of them. And there was this tiny little, I think it's a tent, and since this is where we stayed, even though we weren't staying outside, I thought that that would be cute to go alongside this photo of our AirBNB cottage. I ended up stamping directly onto my photo, and I think it worked here because I was stamping on our primarily white background. The siding on the house was white, so it meant that it was easy to stamp on the photo there. And again, just kind of shuffling through and seeing which of the journaling cards I wanted to include in the album. I really, really loved this diagonal stripe one. It was my favorite in the card, so I wanted to make sure to use it. I think I don't really hoard things if I love them, because I think the best place to showcase them is actually in the album. So I'm super happy to have included that diagonal stripe. And it, depending on how the cards are designed, it can become, somewhat of a challenge if there's something right there in the middle. But I ended up just covering it up, right? Like it's a fun challenge to kind of figure out how you can play with things. I ended up stamping directly onto the background, and I wanted to make sure that that kind of layered underneath my photo. And then I just added an acrylic piece and a little die-cut flag. I thought those were really cute. Again, just flipping through and seeing where and what I'm planning to use.
I end up doing a bit of shuffling, as you'll see here in a later part of the video. But I'll put together like an embellishment cluster, and in this case it's, you know, a punch circle and that acrylic heart here, and then I peel it up a bit later and put it elsewhere in the album. I do that a lot. It's just, I don't know, it's part of my creative process. I think it works in one place, and then I realize, no, it works even better elsewhere in the album, and so then I get to figure something else out. On this, I really love that star pattern, and I wanted to put the pleather circle on top of it, but I felt like the balance of it would be better at the top versus the bottom. So I flipped the 3x4 journaling card over to where the white space was at the top, and then I just did a bit of repeat stamping, as you saw me do, to add some texture and pattern there. And I like how that came together. And then for these were two fairly similar pages, or excuse me, fairly similar photos, but they were also kind of busy, so I knew that I couldn't directly embellish on the photo. And so I pulled from my stash a 4x4 page protector that has 2x2 squares, and instead of using the full page protector, I ended up cutting it down to just use 2 of those 2x2 squares. And it adds a little bit of an insert into, it adds an actual insert into the middle of those photos, and it gives me room to do some embellishing, and I really like how that came together. I do that a lot in my, you know, larger 12x12 albums or 6x8 albums, have a smaller insert in between the main pages, but it was fun to do this on a really small scale. And see, like I mentioned before, I pulled up that embellishment and put it elsewhere in the album. And so to replace it, I cut up a journaling card to add in the spot that I previously had that in. And then I had to figure out how to decorate the back of that, because it was kind of jutting off it was absolutely jutting off the side of the journaling card. And so I went back to the journaling cards, and I used them kind of like pattern paper. I really love journaling cards that just have like a swatch of color on them, because they absolutely coordinate in terms of colors with the rest of the kit, and it gives you an opportunity to decorate, you know, however you need to. So I just added that blue on the back, and in the flip through video that I'm doing shortly, that you'll see shortly, you'll see how I ended up decorating the back, because I think that was my biggest design hurdle. Then I'm going back and just kind of looking through each of the pages to see if they're embellished to my liking and if everything looks okay. And I add a bit more stamping to this tiny little sticker. These were so cute. They're little tag stickers, and I ended up sticking 2 back to back. And so it works because you can see both the front and the back in this tiny page protector. So it gave me an opportunity to utilize 2 of those stickers, and then just adding a little bit more in there. Then I'm just flipping through the album and seeing where I need where there's some holes where embellishing could go, and deciding at this point that it's good. And so then I'll move on to my journaling.
So I finished the album, so I thought I'd do a quick flip through of it. I ended up changing out the actual album, the 4x4, to this older We Are Memory Keepers album that I've had in my stash, and I added the Rome acrylic piece to the front, and then I've added a label in here using just some of the extra of a journaling card that I stamped the dates and the location on. So some things changed, but not a lot. Oh, look, so because this is see-through, you can see that, so I'm probably gonna have to slip some paper in here. So there hasn't been many changes since I stopped filming my process, but I just thought I would flip through to show you the final. So I don't think anything changed here. I added a bit here, so I added that this was Dixon's first vacation. I added the dates here, and then I also added an enamel dot. I added my journaling and did a little bit of stamping and finished with some enamel dots as well. I love those. They're like the perfect last piece to my projects. I don't think this changed. I don't think this changed either. This changed a little bit since I had, you know, this is hanging over, so I wanted to make sure to decorate the back here, and I struggled a little bit to figure out what to do with this kind of odd shape, but it just, basically what I did was mimic what was on here. I think it works. And then I finished this off just with some clear tape. I could have stitched it. I could have pulled out my fuse tool, but I ended up just using plain old Scotch tape for this to seal the edges. And then I added just a tiny bit of, again, some of that extra journaling card and some stitching for texture. So that is it. It is completed. It took me less than half a day to put it together, and I really love how it turned out. So I appreciate you watching along, and thank you so much.